Hello. Okay, so today we're gonna be doing a little hodgepodge of a few different things. I'm gonna do a little mini shopping haul, and it's super mini. I only bought 3 things. And I want to plan my TBR for the month of June. Today's June 1st, which reminds me I need to give y'all your heartworm prevention pills. I have my dogs right here. That's Scarlet, who just stood up. And then Goose is laying right here wanting belly rubs. So they're gonna be featured in the video for today. Excuse me, that's my snack. Big yawn and big stretch. Good boy. We're gonna start with my little snacky snack that I went and bought. I went shopping with my sister today. We went to Starbucks first, had to fuel up. Then we went to the HR department of my new job to hand in paperwork, only they were on a 2-hour lunch break. So I'll just go back another day to deliver that paperwork. But since we were already way over there was a Kid to Kid, which is a secondhand clothing shop for kids. And I had 2 trash bags filled with clothes in the trunk of my car that I needed to deliver. So we dropped those off, and then there was a Half Price Books in the area. So we went there, and then on the way back home, we stopped at CVS, and then there's this really, really cute bookstore in downtown Waxahachie near the CVS that we went to called Word and Wand Archive, but they were closed because today's Monday. Everything in downtown Waxahachie is closed on Mondays, and I forgot. So then we just came home, but I'm gonna start with my snack at CVS. I got these Nutella biscuits. So it's like a little creamy biscuit filled with Nutella hazelnut spread. I'm 6 months pregnant, and Nutella has been one of my cravings, so I got a bag of these. At Half Price Books, I only got 2 books, and they're books that I have read before. I got Scythe by Neil Shusterman and The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. I have read these before. However, like a dummy and a person who doesn't learn from her mistakes, I loaned both of these books out to 2 separate family members who are probably not going to be giving me the books back. So I just went and repurchased them. But let me tell you guys what these books are about. I'll start with The Duke and I. Yes, I do buy movie covers, especially if I've seen the movie before I read the book. And this is the first book in the Bridgerton series, which I had seen Bridgerton several times before I ended up picking up the book. And I actually did a vlog over on my channel where I read this book in like one day during a snow day a few years ago. It was so good. It was my very first Julia Quinn book, and I was not disappointed. Since then, I have read almost all of the Bridgerton books. I think I've read all of them except Hyacinth and Gregory's stories. And then I haven't read any of the prequels with Lady Bridgerton's backstory. So those are next on my list. But it is about a woman named Daphne who is very wealthy, very well off in Regency London during like the aristocrat era and everything. She's very wealthy, her and her family. And she is having trouble finding partners during the time where they're out in the season, because her brother, who is very influential and is the Viscount, is sort of scaring off all of the potential suitors that are interested in courting his sister. So she forms a fake relationship with the Duke, in which they pretend to be interested in each other so that interested mamas and women leave the Duke alone because he is not interested in getting married, and so that men and eligible bachelors are interested in Daphne. So it's a fake dating romance. It's so good. Like I said, I read it in a day, and it's not a short book, even though it looks like it. It's over 400 pages. So this one I think I gave 5 stars because I read it so quickly. The second book in this series, or maybe it was the third one, Benedict's Story, was the only book that I did not give 5 stars to so far within the whole series. I think Benedict's I gave 3 just because it was just another Cinderella story that I wasn't interested in. So I read it, I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't go back and read it again. The second book I got was Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I read this book a long time ago. Actually, I read it during COVID and loved it. Read the entire series during COVID era. Loved it so, so much. This is a YA dystopian series set around a time when nobody dies, nobody gets sick, because there are these like little things that you can now put inside your blood that heals you and prolongs your lifespan until a scythe, who are elected officials kind of, who go around the world and kill people based on who would statistically die. So for example, the main scythe that we read from the perspective of, he strategically picks who dies based on statistics who would normally die. And he finds 2 potential young scythes and takes them under his wing to train them to be added to the scythedom. And so they now live with him and are training to become future scythes, where they will then get to choose who dies and who lives. I've read the whole series except Gleanings, which I believe is I don't think it's a spin-off, but I think it's like a prequel or an epilogue of the series. It's not a part of the direct series, it's separate to it. But again, I gave this one 5 stars, read it in just a couple of days. Glad to have it back on my shelf in case I want to read it again. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to do a TBR selection. I have 2 different apps that I used. I used ChatGPT to come up with 15 random prompts, and I made sure that they were random and added them to another app, which is like a color wheel, a randomizer. So there are 15 options, and although I know I'm not going to read 10 books this month because I've only read 11 so far this year, I would like to have options. I'm currently in the middle of 5 books, so I want to try to fit the 5 books that I'm in the middle of in these prompts that are going to be selected for me. So let me show you what books I'm currently in the middle of. I'm currently in the middle of The Haunting by Natasha Preston. Only read the first 2 chapters. So far, it's pretty good. It's about this woman. Do we know the name? Penny. It's about Penny, and she's not really a woman. She's, I think, 16 or 17, and she just broke up with her boyfriend because she found out, or because everybody found out, that her boyfriend's father is a convicted serial killer and had been murdering their classmates. And now on the 1-year, I believe, anniversary of the deaths of all of her classmates, people start dying again. And the serial killer is in prison, so now people are starting to point fingers at Penny's ex-boyfriend. I'm only 2 chapters in. He's starting to look kind of guilty, but maybe that's what they want me to think. So this is one of the books that I want to try to fit in to my TBR. The second book I'm currently in the middle of is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. In my last vlog, I finished reading the 3rd book in the ACOTAR series, and I explained that I have already read the first 3 books in the Throne of Glass series. And so I'm choosing to read the books in the order that the author wrote the books, rather than the chronological order that the books take place in. This book is a prequel. It's a series of 5 novellas, I believe. I think there are 5 or 6 novellas in here about, what's her name? Selena Sardathian, before Throne of Glass. So back when she was a teenager and she was a hired assassin. And I am so excited to start this book because in the entire Throne of Glass, well, in the 3 books of the Throne of Glass series that I have read so far, she has just been a whiny girl. And she's been very sensitive, very like, oh, they don't need to die. Like, let's just wound them to prevent them from causing more harm. And I'm just not into that. So I can't wait to see her as a bloodthirsty assassin, the bloodthirsty assassin that everybody is so afraid of. The 3rd book that I am in the middle of is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. And I don't remember when I started this book. I am on chapter 7, and I can't really remember too much about this book. I might just have to start over. Hi, Benjamin, you're sitting on my pile of books. But this book is about, I think it's dual perspective. Tate Collins and Miles Archer. Tate has moved in with her brother, and Tate's brother has a friend named Miles Archer. And Miles Archer has a hidden backstory, kind of very secluded, very tucked away, of a woman or a girl that he used to date. And Tate has a crush on Miles, like as soon as she sees him. But it's a bit more complicated, and Miles won't let himself be put into another relationship. So they're just kind of navigating the ugly love of their feelings together. So this is another one that I want to try to fit in this month. Finally try to get it off of my I am in the middle of reading. Buddy, you just want to snugs? The fourth book that I am in the middle of reading is called The Family Experiment by John Mars, and I am on page 44. This one's pretty cool. It is told through different formats. This is a modern day dystopia in which having children has become unreasonably expensive, which we're not far off from that being our reality. So what people have done is they created a metaverse in which people can have virtual children. And in order to sort of advertise this new product, they have created a game show in which a various amount of couples, I believe there are 5 different couples, compete for a month, I think, to raise a child. Or maybe it's 12 months. I think it's a year. They compete for a year. I don't remember. They compete for a certain amount of time. Does it say here? Okay, to launch this new initiative, the company behind Virtual Children has created a reality TV show called The Substitute. It will follow 10 couples as they raise a virtual child from birth to the age of 18, but in a condensed 9-month period of time. The prize, the right to keep their virtual child or risk it all for the chance of a real baby. It's kind of brutal. Not gonna lie, there are a few perspectives that I don't want to read from, just because they sound like, don't get in my snack, buddy. They sound like they're in it just for the money or the fame, which is, it's a dystopian novel. There are gonna be parts that I'm gonna be uncomfortable with. I'm just worried that I'm gonna be so uncomfortable with this and I'm not gonna wanna read it anymore, that I'm gonna DNF it. My animals are just so active right now. What do you want? You don't want to take a nap? The last book that I'm in the middle of reading is Alchemized by Sen Lin Yu. I took the dust jacket off for this book, but if you watched my previous vlog, I explained that I have rules when it comes to what books people are allowed to buy me. And my one rule is don't buy it for me unless I have specifically told you that this is a book that I want, because I'm a very picky reader and my husband did not listen to that rule. He bought this book for me anyway, and I'm so glad that he broke the rule because it's so good. I am this far into the book, so I'm on chapter 19. It's really good. It's advertised as a Hermione and Draco romance, but it's so much more than that. You can kind of see how the characters may resemble Hermione or Draco, but they're so far off. It's not even that. I know the main character is Farron, and that's supposed to be our Draco, but Helena is supposed to be our Hermione. First of all, look how beautiful the inside of this dust jacket is. It's a map. Can you get out of my Nutella crackers? Thank you. It looks like a maze, like a rose maze. Beautiful. Helena wakes up in a vat of goo, and she has been in this goo for a while, and she has no memories. And for a little bit, she doesn't really know what her name is. She has no memories of anything. So when they find her, they pull her out of this vat and they start doing kind of experiments on her to try to figure out who this person is, because nobody had any record of her being in their vats of goo. They find out that she used to be a part of a rebel group, and they don't want to get rid of her or kill her because she used to be a healer, and they believe that she might have information that will lead to the current government's downfall. So in this society, the bad guys won the war and the rebel community is dismembered. They're murdered, they are jailed, or they are just no longer there anymore. Her memory is still blocked. Nobody can access it. So they send her to live with Farron, who is like considered the best person to get the memories out of her brain. So she goes to live with Farron, where, I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm assuming a romance is going to ensue. But it kind of seems like Farron doesn't want to be a part of this as well, although he is doing everything that he can to maintain the image that he is working with the current government. It's clear that he doesn't want to. So those are the 5 books that I'm currently in the middle of reading that I want to try to incorporate into this month's TBR. I'm gonna spin the wheel 10 times. There are 15 options, so there will be options that don't get picked. I hope none of them get picked twice. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm back with the books. I will put in footage somewhere of me scrolling or me doing the randomizer. But the first prompt that the randomizer gave me was Grad Year, which is a book that was published the year that I graduated high school, and it was 2017. And I was getting a little nervous that I wouldn't have any. I had to go on Goodreads and sort through by publication year of all the books that I have on my TBR shelf. And The Lying Game by Ruth Ware was published in 2017. I don't think I've read this one. It doesn't seem familiar. I've read many Ruth Ware books, and I do like her writing. This one doesn't have a synopsis on it. It just has a bunch of quotes. So they must be really confident that everybody just knows what this book is about. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to assume that everybody knows what this book is already about, and I'm not going to provide a synopsis for it. The second prompt that the randomizer selected was friend recommendation. Now, the book that I chose wasn't a friend recommendation. My students actually chose it for me, and it's called The Haunting, and I told you guys about this. It's one of the books that is already that I'm already in the middle of. The third prompt the randomizer gave me was color in the title. So I chose The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. I have read The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. My husband gave it to me. Again, he broke the rules. He bought me a book that wasn't on my list, and he did no wrong. I loved it so much. It was so cute and wholesome. I loved every second of it. So as soon as I saw the sequel in Target, I had to buy it. And actually, I think this is a prequel. I think it's about the woman who created the enchanted spider plant. So I am excited to get back to reading that series. The fourth prompt that the randomizer selected was longest stay, and that was interpreted as longest stay on my TBR. And I'm going to go ahead and fill that with Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover because I don't remember when I started this book. It had to have been at least 6 months ago. And I've picked it up maybe twice since I read it. And I don't think it was bad, because if it was bad, I would have put it in my pile of get rid of books, which are right there. I actually had it in my nightstand and I just forgot that it was there. And I guess it just wasn't good enough for me to continuously pick it up. But also this whole first half of the year, I've been pregnant. I found out I was pregnant on New Year's Eve. So the first 3 months of this year, I was in my first trimester. It wasn't good. I didn't feel good. I didn't want to do anything. So I didn't read anything until about April. So I think I started this book either in December or January and then put it down for that entire first trimester and then maybe forgot about it. So I'm gonna put this one back on and say that this has been on my TBR the longest out of all the books that I'm currently reading. And that is the twist that I'm putting on that prompt. The fifth prompt that the randomizer gave me was less than 400 pages. So I went ahead and threw in The Family Experiment, which I think is just under 400 pages, sitting at 374 pages. So I've already explained what this book is about, not gonna do it again. Excited that I found a spot for that one. The sixth prompt that the randomizer gave me was one word title, and I was going to make Alchemized the book for this one. However, another prompt came up that I thought Alchemized would better fit. So I chose instead Vicious by V.E. Schwab to fill this prompt. I have read one other V.E. Schwab book that I think I actually DNF'd. And I don't even remember which one that was. I think it was the one where she could travel through teleporting, like portals. She could travel through worlds. And I don't even know what this one's about. It says, Victor and Eli started out as college roommates, brilliant, arrogant, lonely boys who recognized the same sharpness and ambition in each other. In their senior year, a shared research interest in adrenaline, near-death experiences, and seemingly supernatural events reveals an intriguing possibility that under the right conditions, someone could develop extraordinary abilities. But when their thesis moves from the academic to the experimental, things go horribly wrong. So I remember this one being really popular maybe 7 or 8 years ago when everybody was reading all of V.E. Schwab's books. So I'm gonna give it a try. I didn't like the other one, but maybe I'll like this one. I'll give this author another try. The seventh prompt that the randomizer gave me was heroine or heroine. So I threw in the Assassin's Blade because although she is an assassin, she is a heroine in the series. The eighth prompt that the randomizer gave me was a book that has won awards, and I chose The House on Mango Street. I have not read this book, as shocking as that may be, seeing as how I am a high school English teacher. I have never read The House on Mango Street, and I actually had to look up what awards this book has won. It has won an award in 1985, I believe. I actually don't know what this book is even about. I just know that it is extremely popular and very beloved. The synopsis says, sometimes heartbreaking, sometimes deeply joyous, The House on Mango Street tells the story of Esperanza Cordero, whose neighborhood is one of harsh realities and harsh beauty. Esperanza doesn't want to belong, not to her rundown neighborhood and not to the low expectations the world has for her. Esperanza's story is that of a young girl coming into her power and inventing for herself what she will become. That sounds very interesting. Definitely not something that I normally would pick up for myself. I'm excited though, just because it's such a famous book and we teach it in school. I don't, but other teachers do teach it. The ninth prompt that the randomizer gave me was a book that is more than 400 pages. And that is the prompt that I decided to put Alchemized for. Only because if I put this one as the one word title, I didn't want to have a second book that was over 400 pages. So I thought Alchemized is perfect. It's 1,000 pages. It is 1,024 pages long. So it is definitely over that 400 page mark. All right, and then the last prompt that the randomizer gave me was a book that starts with the letter P, and that is because my name starts with a P. The only book that I had that started with a P is Pretty Things by Janelle Brown. I bought this one in Target on a whim, and I keep wanting to DNF this book without even trying to read it. I keep wanting to just toss it in a pile of, I'm never going to read it. However, I think this TBR is going to incentivize me to read it. I don't even remember what it's about because it's been so long since I bought it. It just says, Nina once bought into the ideas that her fancy liberal arts degree would lead to a fulfilling career. When that dream crashed, she turned to stealing from rich kids in LA, alongside her wily Irish boyfriend, Lachlan. Nina learned from the best. Her mother was the original con artist, hustling to give her daughter a decent childhood despite their wayward life. But when her mom gets sick, Nina puts everything on the line to help her, even if it means running her most audacious, dangerous scam yet. Okay, so it's like a heist book. And I guess it's dual perspectives because now we have another character. Vanessa is a privileged young heiress who wanted to make her mark in the world. Instead, she becomes an Instagram influencer, traveling the globe, receiving free clothes and products, and posing for pictures in exotic locales. But behind the covetable facade is a life marked by tragedy. After a broken engagement, Vanessa retreats to her family's sprawling mountain estate, Stonehaven, a mansion of dark secrets, not just from Vanessa's past, but from that of a lost and troubled girl named Nina. Okay. All right, now I understand why I threw that in the shopping cart when I was at Target. Okay, so those are the 10 books that I have on my TBR for this month of June. I am not working. I do have a toddler though, so I'm not going to guarantee that all 10 books are going to be read, but I will guarantee that I will try my hardest to read as many as I have time for. So that is my TBR for the month of June. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will be vlogging for the rest of the week my journey of reading these books.